Hello, my name is Murray Feldman, and I live in Vancouver, and I practice homeopathy here at the Vancouver Centre for Homeopathy. I've been studying and practicing homeopathy since 1977. I was first introduced to homeopathy when I was in India, and I continued to study there for a period of about 3 years. In 1980, I moved to London, England, where I continued with my studies in homeopathy and lived and practiced there for a period of about 11 years. I've had the good fortune to study with some of the world's well-known homeopaths, Rajan Sankaran, J.S. Shah, George Vathulkas, Roger Morrison, Jan Scholten, and several others. And I've also had the good fortune to travel and teach internationally and still continue to teach in different countries in the world. And for a person like myself, who has a bit of a tubercular miasm, to be able to do that, travel like that, is indeed good fortune. So I'm looking forward to coming to Australia and meeting you there. In 1994, I founded and opened up the Vancouver Homeopathic Academy here in Vancouver, a 4-year course in classical homeopathy, and I ran that school and continued to teach there as the main teacher for a period of about 17 years. It was during this time that I met Rhiannon Rees, and Rhiannon felt that she learned a lot from me around case-taking and homeopathy, and felt that she wanted me to come to Australia and the two of us to do a seminar together where I could give what I have to offer, give what I have to share about case-taking, about life, about dealing with patients, and things like that. One of the issues that we have in practice sometimes is close patients. And these 3 days that we're going to have, they're going to be experiential days. It's not going to be 3 days based on case analysis or find out what remedy is, but it's going to deal with practical everyday issues in terms of dealing with our patients. So one of these things, like I said, is close patients. And one of my passions is the use of mindfulness. The use of mindfulness in my work and the use of mindfulness personally for me in my everyday life. And I found it extremely valuable. So how can we take mindfulness into our practice? How can we take mindfulness into working with close patients? Can we use mindfulness as a way of opening up those close patients with the little clues that they give us? I do believe we can. And not do believe it, I know we can from my own experience. How can we use mindfulness to maintain our patients? One of the problems that a lot of homeopaths have is patient loss. Patients that just don't give us enough time. They come once, never see them again. So we either found the right remedy or we haven't found the right remedy. How to keep them coming back so that we can do the work that we want to be able to do, the good quality work. How can we use mindfulness to establish a rapport and to build up solid communication and to build up a good, deep, trusting relationship between you and between your patient and or your client? Perception. Hahnemann talks over and over again about the word perceives. He talks about perceiving the case. He doesn't talk about thinking about the case. He talks about perceiving the case and using all our senses, using our ears, using our eyes, using our whole body to sense what's going on with the patient. The body language, the tone of voice, repetitive themes that they may talk about. Even something simple in terms of body language like this. Every time you ask a patient a question, they go like that. Does that mean anything? Can we make use of that? Is it of any value for it? If we think it means something, how can we make use of it? These are things that we'll be looking at on these 3 days. Receiving the case. This term, receiving the case or receptivity, is used over and over again in homeopathy. What do we mean by receptive? Can we find within ourselves a place that's totally receptive? A quiet, non-judgmental, receptive, I would say not place, but receptive space within in ourselves from which we allow the patient to tell us what their problems are. I guarantee, from my own experience, I truly guarantee that the more quiet I am inside, the more open and receptive I am inside, the more the patient will give us information, the information that we need. I really guarantee this. And it makes case taking and being with the patient such a delight for us and a delight for them. The patient will leave saying to us things that I'm sure many of you already heard. Thank you so much for listening. People want to be listened to. How can we use these clues that the patient is giving us to go deeper, more quickly into the center of the case? Can we use mindfulness? Are there things that we can do when a person says a repetitive theme? Can we use mindfulness to help us understand what it means and even to help them understand what it means? Mindfulness can be extremely valuable, and since I've started applying in practice, I have found it very valuable, and frankly, it's made my whole practice for me even much more enjoyable than it always has been. So I'm looking forward to seeing you there, and you can sign up for the webinar. We're going to do a webinar to give you an idea of whether you'd like to do this 3 days or not. And on this free webinar, we'll be able to talk directly. You'll be able to ask Rhiannon and myself questions about what the seminar is going to be about, what type of things we're going to cover, direct questions from you that you'll be able to ask. And maybe even during the webinars, you'll be able to find some tips to take away and apply to your practice almost immediately. So if you want to sign up for the webinar, you can do so on the web page, and I really look forward to talking to you at the webinar and to meeting with you, and I look forward to coming to Australia. So thank you, and I hope to speak to some of you on the webinar.